Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Mona's Take. I am your host, Mona Rose, and we are here to talk about everything reality TV. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything I have coming up. Yesterday was a chaotic day in the Big Brother house. The leftovers are being tested. New alliances trying to be formed. Some people are doing some dirty work. We'll get right into it. Alright, we're going to have to listen to Indy bitch and complain all week long about her costume, about her hair extensions, about her being on the block. She is miserable and she's making a point to make everybody else miserable. She says that her hair extensions are so expensive and unless they want to write her a $150,000 check, they need to get this hat or whatever it is that she's wearing off of her because it's breaking her hair extensions. Michael and Brittany talk about what's best for their game going forward. They say they wonder if Taylor would do a final four between them and her and Joseph. They think that Monty and Joseph are tight and could have a final two. Kyle has the veto. Everybody is pressuring him to use it. And the plan, starting out, was, I believe, Terrence. Then Joseph would be the replacement nominee and Indy would go home. And then it turned to where Alyssa would be the nominee and she would go home. Kyle missed a lot of that conversation because he's always with Alyssa. He is missing a lot of the leftovers conversations because he's with Alyssa. He gets no time to himself. And I have a feeling that that's going to be the downfall of his game. He says that they're overplaying. He won the veto. Indy and Terrence are on the block. That's two from the other side. They send Indy home. Easy peasy, done. There's still three of them left. He says he doesn't mind going after Alyssa when there are no other options. But right now, there are options. Kyle said that he can't believe Jasmine got the trip. And Michael said, I so wanted you to take that from her. And Kyle's like, man, I couldn't. He's like, I will never, ever take prizes or cash over safety. If I have safety in this game, that's what I'm going for. I'm not throwing competitions. I just can't do it. He's like, and I can't believe Alyssa made the bonehead move to do that instead of going after the veto. Kyle says he told Alyssa that it was a dumb move to take the trip. He said, but I'm not going to tell her to go talk to Taylor because I don't want anything getting back to the leftovers and say that I'm coaching her. So I'm just telling her it's a bonehead move. You shouldn't have done that. That's the HOH. She still has to make replacement nominees if I use the veto. So that wasn't a smart move. I am so curious how they're going to split this house. All right. Whoever goes home this week, whether it be Indy, Terrence, Alyssa, they're going to have 10 players left in the game. So it's going to be 5 on one, 5 on the other. They're supposed to have 2 separate HOHs, 2 separate nominees on the block. I don't know if they'll do 4, 2 on each side. If they do that, that's 1 HOH, 2 nominees, and there's only 2 people that will vote. So those 2 people will decide who is going home. This could get messy. It could get messy really quick. Joseph tells Taylor that Jasmine and Indy are hyping Alyssa up and saying, I'm so glad you took that trip from her. Way to go. I'd have done the same thing. Jasmine's like, if you hadn't have taken it, I was going to. So they're just really hyping Alyssa up. Like, you did the right thing, girl. You go, girl. Joseph, Taylor, and Turner talk about Alyssa and her going to the jury. It sounds like at this point, Turner's on board. Michael sees that everybody's getting on board with this. So he goes and tells Kyle. And he said, she's not putting Joseph up. She's not putting anybody else up. She's putting Alyssa up. And Kyle's like, why? If you're just going to send somebody home from those 4, why even have me use the veto? He's like, I can't be the reason that Alyssa goes to jury. Kyle asks Michael, is it even worth it for me to stick my neck out for Alyssa? You know, I have a feeling that it's going to cause a lot of drama, and I really don't need that. But in the same sense, you know, I don't want to be the reason that she goes home. And Michael says, well, it's the same thing as Jasmine. Taylor saying that she wouldn't put Jasmine up. You have somebody that you won't put up or that you won't go after. He's like, when we made this alliance, we said that everybody will go after the targets that they feel comfortable going after. And if anybody else had the veto and played it, then Kyle could have plausible deniability. But if Kyle uses that veto and pulls one of them off, the other 3 are going to be livid when Alyssa goes up on that block. Kyle tells Joseph that he's thinking about leaving the nominations the same. And he actually had a point. Michael was the one that pointed it out to him. But like I said, he has a point. He has his personal reasons why he doesn't want to put Alyssa up or send Alyssa out. Now, he's not saying that one is more important than the other in my eyes. What I'm seeing is he's saying the exact same thing. He has personal reasons not to put Alyssa up and get Alyssa out. If you look at the leftovers, Taylor has Joseph. Monty has Joseph. Turner, I guess, would be Alyssa, would be his person. In the pound, you know, you have Turner, Monty, Joseph, and Kyle. That was the original 4 that formed the leftovers and brought the other 3 in. So everyone's got somebody on their side. Joseph has Indy. He has Jasmine. He has Terrence. He has everybody in that house. And he's still playing both ends against the middle, when in my opinion, it doesn't need to be that way. He's covering his ass. We have to remember, this cast is playing for $750,000. I'm not going to say that one person's game is more important than the other game. They have to play their own game. So, that being said, I can see Kyle's reasoning that Alyssa, to me, is not a threat. They keep saying, oh, she's so social. So what? So is Joseph. Is he a threat? No. Indy, Jasmine, and Terrence, if I were sitting in that house right now, I would want Indy gone, Jasmine gone, Terrence gone, then Alyssa. Because Alyssa doesn't have gameplay. She has followed that side, whatever they tell her to do. She's not come up with any strategy. She's not done any of the scheming and the planning. She's just like, okay, I'll go along with whatever y'all are doing because I'm on y'all's side. To me, that's not strategic. So I don't understand why the other side, other than the fact that they think that she will be with Kyle and maybe Kyle will turn on them. I don't see that happening unless they push him. And Kyle has a point. If he uses this veto and they put Alyssa up, the other side, the convenience store, is coming after him hard and heavy. If he does use the veto, if he doesn't use the veto and he leaves nominations the same and Indy goes home, they're coming after him just as well. And like he said, I don't have any other votes in jury. Jasmine's not going to vote for me. Indy's not going to vote for me. Terrence isn't going to vote for me. It's like, I already don't have their votes. I don't care if I take the fall for this. You say you wanted to make a big move, and I screwed you over by going rogue and wouldn't use the veto. I'll take all the heat. If he's willing to do that, why are they still pushing? I don't understand. Indy busts in and tells Kyle, "You're being weird to me." And Joseph said, "Indy, can we have a couple of minutes? We're not through talking." "No, I want to do this now. You're being weird to me. You're not going to use the video on me, are you?" And Kyle's like, "Why are you saying that?" She's like, "You've just been weird to me all day." And Joseph's like, "Okay, Indy, give me 2 minutes to finish my conversation, and then you can talk to Kyle." She's being very, very pushy about it. Kyle is telling Turner that he is going to cool it with Alyssa, that he's going to tell her that they need to back off and cool things down because it's affecting his game. And, you know, if they have something in the jury house or they have something when they get out of here, then that's fine. But as far as the showmance in the house, it's got to stop. And I watched all day long and I never saw that conversation. However, there was a lot of other conversations going on that sidetracked him. Taylor's talking to the cameras. And she says she doesn't understand what it was about her that made all the women in the house hate her. She tells America, "Maybe you guys can tell me when I get out what it was I did that made them hate me so much in the beginning and still hate me to this day." I feel for Taylor. I know what it's like being on the outs. It doesn't feel good to anyone. And even though she's HOH and this is her week, she's still hearing and seeing all the things that Indy is saying, all the things that Jasmine is saying. Alyssa taking the trip from her. She feels like that was disrespectful to her, and it was. Not a smart move at all on Alyssa's part. I will give you that. Joseph ran upstairs to tell Taylor immediately after he got through talking to Kyle that Kyle's thinking about not using the video. Now, I said before, Joseph is overplaying. Joseph is in Taylor's ear. Joseph is in Indy's ear. Joseph is in Jasmine's ear. Joseph is in Alyssa's ear. Joseph is in Terrence's ear. And he's causing a lot of this friction that's going on, but nobody realizes it because he's so good with everybody. They talk about how much of a threat Alyssa is because of her social game. There is nobody in that house right now that would put Joseph up. Nobody. Taylor tells Joseph that she could put Jasmine up. He knocks that down immediately. Doesn't even give her a chance to finish her thoughts on why she could put Jasmine up. "Oh, no, you can't do that. That's not the route we want to go." And then he starts back in on Alyssa. Nobody caught that. Nobody saw that as a red flag as he was protecting Jasmine. Or that he's trying to protect Indy by getting Alyssa out. Nobody's realizing this. But they're realizing that Kyle's trying to protect Alyssa. I don't know, guys. It's going to get dicey. I don't think the leftovers are going to make it to 7. I do not think that they will make it there without imploding upon themselves. I mean, I got my hopes up when she said that about putting Jasmine up. I was like, yes! And then immediately, Joseph talked her out of it. And her HOH has been problematic, but she's had Joseph in her ear, Monty in her ear, Kyle in her ear. Turner kind of just sits back and gives a, well, what if every once in a while. Brittany and Michael are in her ear. So her targets have changed from Terrence to Indy to now Alyssa. That's problematic when you have so many targets in 1 week and you keep changing your mind. And if you've got it in your head, you think it through. But when you're telling everybody, okay, Terrence is going out this week. The next day, okay, Indy's going out this week. Okay, the next day, now it's Alyssa that's going out. You can't keep up with what's going on. But it's because she's got so many people in her ear and she doesn't know which way to go. And like I said, I'm so confused as to why Joseph wants Alyssa out so bad. Joseph and Monty are pushing for Alyssa. Nobody else in that alliance was. Joseph and Monty are pushing hard for Alyssa to go out. Monty, I can see, Alyssa said she would go after him. But Joseph? She's not going after Joseph. Why is he pushing so hard to get her out? Kyle finally tells Michael about Monty saying that when it gets down to the final 7, that Michael's going to be the first to go if he doesn't get HOH. Now, Monty told Michael this, I don't know, over a week ago maybe? But Kyle's kept it under his hat. He hasn't said anything until now. Michael, Brittany, Joseph, Turner, and Jasmine are sitting outside. And she's talking about all the stuff that she asked for her birthday. The cake and the cupcakes and the alcohol and the confetti. And she's going on and on. And she says, oh, I forgot about the balloon. Now, for those of you who don't know, her birthday and her dad's birthday are on the same day. She lost her dad 3 months before entering the house. So this is her first birthday without her dad. She's stuck in a house with a bunch of people she doesn't know. As much as I cannot stand Jasmine, it broke my heart because she's talking about all of this. And then she says, oh, I forgot to ask him about a balloon so that we can release a balloon. Turner, in his mind, is not thinking about her dad. They're having birthday conversations. This is what she wants for her birthday. Dad never came up. And she said she wanted to release the balloon. And Turner said, well, have we thought about how bad that is for the environment and releasing plastic into the air and climate control, and it could kill birds, and have we thought maybe that there's another option? As soon as he said it, everybody went silent. Joseph grabbed his mouth, and Jasmine sat up, and I swear to God, if looks could kill, he'd be dead right now. Didn't say a word. He realizes in the moment, I just screwed up. He has a nervous laughter. When he's nervous, he laughs. We've seen it in other conversations that he's had. So he gets up from the couch, laughs, and walks off. She gets up pissed and goes in the house. And Michael and Brittany and Joseph are like, oh my God, that was so awkward. And Brittany was like, yeah, that wasn't the time. That was so inappropriate. And Turner comes back over there and he's like, man, I feel like an idiot. He's like, it didn't dawn on me that she was talking about releasing the balloon for her dad. He's like, I'm just thinking, you know, her birthday celebration, what she said she wanted to do. And he's like, I really feel awful. I would never, ever disrespect her and her feelings and her dad like that. He's like, I'm an idiot. Should I go talk to her? And Joseph's like, no, I'd give her some time to cool down. Let me go talk to her. Let me smooth things over. Again, Joseph right in the middle of everything. Joseph is right in the middle of everything. So Turner goes up to the HOH room to talk to Taylor because he's so embarrassed and he feels so bad. I mean, genuinely felt bad. And Jasmine comes back out, goes over to the hammock. Joseph goes over to talk to her. And she says, I don't know why you're coming over here. You were laughing too. And Joseph's like, what are you talking about? And she goes, when Turner laughed, you laughed. I saw you put your hand over your mouth. And he's like, no, Josie. He's like, I put my hand over my mouth because it was so awkward. He said, my way of handling things like that is humor. And I knew that wasn't the moment. He's like, so we were all just in shock and awe and just of what just happened. We didn't know what to say. So he talks her off the ledge. She's going off and he tells her, you know, Turner didn't mean that the way it came out. He feels awful and yada, yada, yada. So she has time to calm down. Monty goes to talk to Taylor about Kyle. And Monty is questioning Alyssa's timing on trying to get close to him. He's like, you know, she ain't talk game to me. She ain't even really talked to me most of the time in this house. And she's opening up to me about things with her and Kyle. And I'm like, I don't know if it's genuine, but to me, the timing is suspect. Turner and Jasmine finally talk. And he apologizes to her and he tells her, I did not mean that to be disrespectful in any way. He's like, honestly, I thought your response was going to be, no, I haven't thought of anything else. Or, yeah, maybe we can do this. He's like, I never dreamed that your response would be what it was. He's like, because I wasn't talking about your dad. He's like, I just kind of, we were talking about your birthday and what you wanted. And I didn't connect the two. And it was very insensitive, and I do apologize. I would not hurt you like that. So they talk and they work things out. Michael and Brittany talk to Alyssa. Now, remember this conversation a little bit later when I'm talking about Taylor and the girls in the HOH room. But Michael and Brittany talk to Alyssa, and she's worried that she's going to be put on the block because of her taking the trip from Taylor, and that it was a bonehead move, and she sees it now, and she wished she would have just taken the punishment, and she feels awful, and she thinks she's going on the block. And Michael said, well, ultimately, it's Kyle's decision whether he uses it or not. Anybody can give him any advice they want, but it's ultimately his power, it's his choice whether he uses it. Although going against the HOH is not always smart, but it has happened. Joseph and Monty talk, and Joseph said, Alyssa's got to go. They said someone that's not in our alliance that is causing this much upheaval, this much chaos, has got to go. They don't need to be here. She needs to go out. So they want Kyle to expose his whole game. But yet, none of them are willing to expose theirs. They're all still working and moving through that house like there's not an alliance. Joseph is still working both sides of that house. But they want Kyle to expose his game. I don't get it. When, like he said, there's other options. Leave them as they were. You wanted Terrence to go home in the beginning. Then you wanted Indy to go home. And then you wanted Alyssa. Well, you have Terrence and Indy on the block. Why cause more drama than needs to be? Send Indy home. Kyle says, I have reasons. Terrence voted against me last week to go home. I've used the veto on Indy once and didn't even get a thank you. She bosses me around all the time. She's hateful. She's mean to me and Alyssa. I have reasons to go after her. It's like, so blame it all on me. It's like, why would I use a veto on either one of those people? And I see his point. And I know that's not the popular opinion. But we have to remember, this is a game. They are all playing a game. The ones that made it personal, most of them are gone. There's 4 people left in there that made this game personal and went after Taylor and were ugly to Taylor. Any one of those 4 people that goes, that's another one out the door. What does it matter what order they go in? You look at physical threats, all the physical threats are on the leftover side. You got Michael, you got Kyle, you got Joseph, Taylor's one of them, Brittany's probably their weakest link, Turner's one comps. Those are huge physical threats, and the ones that haven't won comps have been throwing them. Monty's throwing them, Joseph's throwing them, because they don't want to make the decisions on the other side of the house. They want to let other people get the blood on their hands. So that when all these people go to jury, they can get their jury vote. That's what they're thinking. And everyone's blowing up on the internet about Michael and Brittany. Michael, Brittany, and Taylor were brought into this alliance after the four had formed the Pound. That's the key group within that seven. That's the four that are working together within that seven. So that means Michael, Brittany, and Taylor are on the bottom of that. They have to do whatever moves they need to make or they think they need to make it to the end, just like everybody else does. I love Taylor. I love the fact that she won HOH this week. I would love to see her win that game. That's a hell of a comeback story. However, just because someone goes against her game-wise, not personal, game-wise, doesn't make them an awful person. They're playing the game. Now, if you're making personal attacks like the other side of the house did to her for 4 weeks, yes, get your ass out of the house. You don't deserve it, in my opinion. But for them to just be playing the game and get crucified in the public, I don't get it. I think people take this way too seriously, and I don't care who does what. Anybody that goes against Taylor in that house right now is going to be crucified on the outside. You might as well just write her a check, call it a season, and get it over with. Let them play the game, people. Let them play the game. Our favorites don't always win. Would I love to see Taylor? Yes, I'd love to see Taylor win it. I'd love to see Michael win it. He's a super fan. That would be his dream. Would I love to see Joseph win it? I'm on the fence because, like I said, he's still playing both sides of the house. Right now, he has the best chance to win it if he makes it to the final two because he doesn't have any blood on his hands from anyone. No one. And he's good with everybody that's going out of the house. He's good with both sides. Everybody that's going to jury, he's going to be good with. Now Kyle is just being plumb paranoid. He's telling Michael that he doesn't think he should use it and that he thinks that he was actually the big target and that he derailed it by winning the veto. And now he's afraid that, or he's telling Brittany this, now he's afraid that if he uses it, that Taylor's going to go after Michael. No way in hell that's happening. Not until she finds out that Brittany and Michael went against her and told Kyle all this. There's no way she would put up Brittany and Michael. None. So now he's just being paranoid. Kyle goes and talks to Terrence because Terrence went and had a long conversation with Taylor. So Kyle goes in to talk to Terrence and he says, look, man, I'm really thinking about not using the veto. These are my reasons. I don't want her to put Alyssa up. I don't want to be the reason Alyssa goes home. Yada, yada, yada. And ask him what conversation he had with Taylor. And he tells Kyle that Taylor told him that Kyle was going to use the veto on him and pull him down. Why would you tell him that when it's Kyle's choice and you haven't even talked to Kyle yet? Kyle was pissed. I think he went into the DR to calm down before he went and talked to Taylor. Because he's like, how are you going to tell somebody what I'm going to do with my power when you haven't even talked to me? They had 0 discussions. The last discussion they had, he was going to use the veto, and Joseph was going to go up as a pawn, and they were going to send Indy home. If that's the case, just send Indy home. What's the problem? He tells him, I don't want to be the reason that Alyssa's backdoored, and I have a feeling that might be what's going on. And I have reasons I want Indy out of this house. I have valid reasons I want Indy out of this house. So, I'm surely not going to use it on her. And if I want Indy out of the house, what's the best way to get that to happen is you sitting on the block next to her. So Kyle finally goes up to talk to Taylor. He tells Taylor that he's not taking he tells Taylor that her not taking a shot at Jasmine is the same as him not wanting to take a shot at Alyssa. Like I said before, it's not that either are more important. It's that she has her reasons and he has his. And the whole thing with the leftovers is they weren't going to take any shots they didn't feel comfortable doing. Kyle doesn't feel comfortable being the reason that Alyssa goes home. And I see that. They've gotten so much closer. Puppy love, whatever you want to call it. But I can see why he doesn't want to be the reason she goes home. I know I keep saying that. But that's how I feel. He tells her that she can say that he went rogue, that she had a big target in mind, and he just screwed up her whole HOH because he didn't use the veto, and now she's mad at him, and it'll mess their alliance a little more. And Kyle tells her, I've talked to everybody in the cookout. And he had. And not a single one of them said, Alyssa's got to go home. They either said they wanted Alyssa to stay, or they said they were indifferent. So Kyle's saying, you know, I don't know who you're talking to or what stories you're getting, but this is the story I'm getting, and I've talked to everyone. And Taylor said, well, that's a little bit surprising and worrisome because I've gotten different stories. And he said, well, who have you gotten different stories from? She throws Michael and Brittany out. Michael and Brittany went along with the conversation because everyone else was in the room hollering, Alyssa, Alyssa, Alyssa. I say everyone else. Joseph and Monty. Alyssa's got to go. Alyssa's got to go. Alyssa's got to go. And then Taylor got on the bandwagon. Alyssa's got to go. So they're agreeing with the HOH, you know, because they don't want to get in any trouble. They don't want any sights being on them. And Kyle said, well, I think we need to get everybody in one room because I'm getting different stories than you are, and that's concerning. I believe at this time is when Indy came in and just did one of her little check-ins. So a little later, Joseph, Monty, Kyle, Taylor, and Turner are in the HOH room. And Joseph asked Kyle who Alyssa's willing to go after. And Kyle said he has no idea. And Kyle points out that it wasn't Alyssa that led the charge to get Monty out. That was Jasmine and Terrence. And about that time, Jasmine comes into the HOH room. As soon as she gets in there, production calls for them to go check the storage room. And they got alcohol and cake and stuff for Jasmine's birthday on Wednesday. Because they decided they weren't going to drink it last night. They're going to save it for her birthday. Indy corners Kyle again and says, are you using the veto on me? And Jasmine comes and joins the conversation. And Jasmine said, what's making you hesitant? And Kyle said, I'm worried that Taylor's going to backdoor Alyssa. And Jasmine said, there's no way in hell she would do that. Not with me in the house. She wouldn't make that move, I promise you. I've been talking to her and we've been getting pretty close. She pretty much tells Kyle to think about the fact of not using it. What that's going to do to his game. Who are you going to piss off by not using it? People have had your back. So you need to think about who you're going to be using it. Or whether you're using it or not, who you're going to make mad. Indy tells Kyle, we made this alliance when you were on the block. And we had the numbers to send you home and keep Daniel. But we chose to keep you. And this is the first chance that you have to protect the alliance. And she's talking about the 5 swatters, Joseph, Kyle, and the girls. This is your first chance to protect the alliance, and you're not doing it. And he said, how am I protecting the alliance if I take you down and they put Alyssa up and Alyssa goes home? Jasmine and Indy don't give a crap about that. Alyssa comes out and joins the conversation for a brief minute and said, where's everyone at? And Jasmine said, probably upstairs. Kyle tells her, said, I'm just telling Indy that I may not use the veto because I'm afraid that you may go on the block. And he's like, have you talked to Taylor? And she's like, no, every time I go around, there's too many people around. I'm going to go see if I can find her. And she leaves. And Indy said, see what I mean? She's worried about finding Taylor. She's worried about covering her ass, and I'm the one on the block. If you don't use this, Kyle, and take me down, I will never be able to trust you and Alyssa again. And he said, why Alyssa if it's my choice? Because I just can't trust her because I know y'all are working together. And then she tells him that if she stays on the block, to just go ahead and vote her out and she can go home. And Jasmine said, no, you can't go home. You go to the jury house. And she goes, no, I'm not going to the jury house. And Jasmine said, well, baby girl, you kind of have to. You signed a contract. And she's like, no, I'm not going to the jury house. It's a waste of my time. And Kyle said, well, that's kind of disheartening because I'm going to tell you what, I would do anything to stay here, whether it's here or the jury house. I just want to be in the game and I want to be a part of the game. And so for you to say that you don't care, it's kind of disheartening. So they go in the house. Everybody goes up to the HOH room. Indy asks everyone to leave and says she wants to talk to Taylor. And as Jasmine gets up to leave, she tells Jasmine, wait outside, I'm going to need you. So Jasmine goes and sits in the tiki room. Everybody else goes downstairs. And Indy says, Kyle just told me that he's not going to use the video. And Taylor said, why? What's changed? And Indy says, I don't know. He's afraid that you're going to put Alyssa up. She's like, why would I put Alyssa up? And Indy said, I don't know. He said something about her taking the prize from you and saying that's enough when you were on the wall and all of this and that you're going to put her up. And Taylor was like, why would I be so petty? That's not me. Well, then Jasmine comes back in. Now remember, Jasmine and Indy were in this conversation with Kyle in the backyard just a few minutes prior. Jasmine comes in and sits down on the couch. And Jasmine said, what's going on? And Indy says, Kyle says that he's not going to use the video on me. And Jasmine's like, what? Why? Well, because he's afraid that Alyssa will go up. Why would Alyssa go up? This doesn't make any sense. And Jasmine is watching Taylor the entire time for Taylor's response to all of this. So she's acting like this is the first she's hearing of this. I was like, oh, my favorite saying, bitch, please go away. I'm hoping that Kyle circles back and tells Taylor that he was talking to both Jasmine and Indy. Because I believe when he spoke to her, he just said, I'm going to speak to Indy. I don't think, yeah, he hadn't had the conversation with Indy yet. To me, Jasmine and Indy just showed their cards. It's supposed to be them and Alyssa to the end. That just showed me that they are willing to take the chance of Alyssa going up and going home as long as Indy is safe. And I have to admit, it kind of would probably get a little bit boring because Indy keeps a lot of drama stirred up in that house. And she's rubbed a few people the wrong way. It's not just Kyle. Taylor, Michael, Brittany, and Monty talk. And Monty says that he would feel better if Kyle would guarantee that in the following weeks that he would throw the HOH competition to one of them that could take the shot at Alyssa and throw the veto. And Taylor said that's not going to happen. He's already said he will never throw a comp. And he has. That's his thing. He's never going to take safety for granted. Don't think they're going to get that promise. But if it comes down to Kyle being the one to win to HOH, and he has no other shot but to take it, Alyssa, then he's going to have to make the shot, make the decision of what shot he wants to take at the leftovers. And I honestly think that if it came down to it, it would be Monty and Joseph. So they're all in the backyard, all the leftovers. Everybody else, I guess, had went to bed, or so they thought. All the leftovers are standing around the pool table outside, and they're discussing it, and they're giving pros and cons to why Alyssa should go up and why. And Nobody was vocal about Alyssa going up except for Monty and Joseph. Everybody else was like, oh, we're indifferent, we're indifferent. Now, Turner, he did, you know, he kind of had Kyle's back a little bit as far as saying, you know, what kind of threat is she? Why do you think she's a threat? And Kyle is just like, make it make sense to me. Explain to me why you think Alyssa is a bigger threat because of her social game than, say, Indy would be in the comps. Indy's going to beat Alyssa every time. You know, he's like, she doesn't have any strategy. She's the one that told me about the other side of the house's alliance, that we were able to form this alliance. She's the one that gave us all the information. That wasn't strategic. That was stupid. She's the one that outed her own alliances. She's the one that did this, whatever. And he's like, that's not a strategic player. She's not the one that came up with the plan to get rid of Monty. You know, all of this. And they go back and forth for a little bit. And Indy comes up to the window and sees them. And someone said, oh, Indy's in the window, and that's nice that we're all standing around the pool table having an intense conversation. I think it was Joseph that said, okay, so we're all in agreement that the noms are going to stay the same. So all of that upheaval, all of that back and forth, all of that drama for the noms to stay the same, if your teammate is uncomfortable doing this, you should back them up as long as it doesn't affect your game. It's not going to affect their game because Alyssa's not going to win anything. But in doing so, and him fighting back like that, he has made a huge target on his back for both sides. And I can't wait till he tells Indy he's not using it, because, Lord, this next video is probably going to even be longer. And Taylor tells Michael that there should be no hesitation from Kyle. However, they all have people they won't go after. She won't go after Jasmine. Joseph won't go after Jasmine. Monty's throwing the competition so he don't have to put anybody up. Joseph's throwing the competition so he don't have to get any blood on his hands. Brittany's not a threat at all. Michael, he's not throwing any comps. I think he's going to win any comp that he can win. But there's plenty of them there that could take that shot at Alyssa. I don't understand why it's so important that Kyle be the one to do that when there's 6 other members next week that are going to be playing for the veto, 6 against 3. Alyssa's got a hurt back. She hurt herself. Her and Terrence both have a hurt back. They hurt themselves lifting weights today with Monty, or yesterday with Monty. So both of them are hurt. Jasmine's in a freaking boot. What's the likelihood of them getting HOH? But they don't know the twist is coming. So it could be anybody's game next week. I'm curious to see the downfall and see what happens. So that's about all I have for you guys right now. I had a doctor's appointment this morning, so I'm just now getting this taped and getting it up. I'll be back probably late tonight after the ceremony, the veto ceremony, and to see if he uses it and what the downfall is and the fallout is from that. So until then, you guys have a great day, and as always, much love.